welcome to another episode of the Zeelicious cooking series. In this video, we're going to be talking all about sugars, and I'll be focusing more about what you can do to help you reduce your sugar intake. We all know that sugars are bad for the body. No matter how much we want to say it, sugars are bad. Now, there are two types of sugars. We have the natural sugars and refined sugars. The natural ones you find in your fruits and your veggies, and then the refined ones are the ones that are gotten from plants like sugar cane and are processed into white sugar, brown sugar, and the rest. Natural sugars can also come from bees like the honey, but regardless of whether they are natural or processed, consuming a lot of sugar is very bad for you. Now, sugars are just simply carbohydrates that go into the body as glucose, and the body uses up for energy. But if you use or if you consume too much of sugar, you will end up with very low energy levels. What an irony, right? If the body uses sugar for energy, why am I ending up with low energy levels when I consume too much sugar? That's because sugar has a way of messing up with your entire system. I really don't want to go into the science of things, but I know that consuming a lot of sugar is really bad for you. It also increases your chances of obesity, weight gain, diabetes, causes headache, causes wrinkles, causes acne. Sugar is really completely terribly bad for you, especially if you consume them in large quantities. Now, I've come across a lot of people who are literally heavily dependent on sugar, have a sweet tooth and cannot function or do anything without eating sugar. I used to be a big lover of sugar many years ago, and I had to train myself on how to curb the sugar excess because I was always like, I couldn't eat anything that didn't have sugar. I literally had a sweet tooth. But when I read up and I realized that sugars are really bad for my system and my body, I decided to cut down on it, and I followed some steps. It wasn't really easy at the beginning, but now I can drink and eat anything that doesn't have sugar, and it will still taste really good in my mouth. So I'm going to be sharing with you some of the tips that have helped me over the years, and then some of the tips that I got from some other people that has helped them as well, and then so that you too can help yourself to curb or to cut down on your sugar intake, because believe it or not, sugars are really bad for you. Okie dokie. Alright guys, so let's get right into the tips, shall we? Before then, you already know the drill. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, join the family. Click the subscribe button and the bell just right beside so you can get instantly notified whenever we upload a new video. And of course, like this video and share with your family and friends so that they too can also learn something new as well. Alright, now let's go right into the video for today. So the very first thing on my list to help you reduce your sugar intake is to ditch the soda. Ditch the fizzy drinks. Ditch it. I don't have to mention any brand names, but you know what I'm talking about. That drink that you open up and it does shh. It releases some gas and you drink it and it's so sweet and you're feeling nourished, satisfied. Oof, child. Like, it's doing you all the wonders. It's like a feel-good drink, but trust me, it's doing you more harm than good. Feels refreshing, but it's not doing anything whatsoever to your body. It's not helping you health-wise. It's not helping you at all. So ditch it. Comes in black color, orange color, sometimes it's clear colored. You know what I'm talking about. Ditch it. Some people are heavily dependent on soda. They can't have a meal without taking soda. They can't have a meal without taking a fizzy drink. They can't go a day without taking at least a bottle. I think that that's excessive. I'm not saying you should totally throw it out of the way. I still take it, but once in a while, sometimes once in a month or once in 2 weeks, you can have it and just feel good. But when you're doing it every day, that's when it becomes very risky, and you need to literally stop it. You need to train yourself to stop it because you're not doing your body any good at all. Okay, so ditch the soda. Kick it out of the way. The second way that you can cut down on your sugar intake is to read food labels when you go to the grocery store to buy your food items. Now, be very mindful of the names of sugar. Now, some of the times you read a food label and you don't necessarily see sugar written on it, but it contains a lot of sugar because sugar has over 60 names, including maltose, fructose, glucose. There's so many names. I think you should even go educate yourself on the different names of sugar, so that when you see something weird, if you don't see sugar, you're looking out for the other names at the back of the food item that you just got. So it's important that you know the different names, and by reading your food label, you know what sugar is contained in the food you're about to purchase before you buy it. I'm very, very big on reading food labels before I buy a meal, and especially food items that say no added sugar or no something. By the time you turn back and read the food label, you can see like 6 or 7 different sugars that was added, but it's not sugar per se, it's different other types of sugars. Before, like you said no added sugar, but you eat it and it's very sweet. Why is it so sweet? Anything that doesn't have sugar in it is not supposed to be sweet, because sugar is used to sweeten up your food. So if it says no added sugar, then it's not supposed to be sweet. So why is it sweet? You turn to the back and you see fructose, you see glucose, you're like, all these things are sugar though. So you need to educate yourself on the different names of sugar. When you go to the back of the food packet and you're reading the food label, what you should observe is on the ingredient, when it says ingredients, the ingredients with the highest quantity would be the first ingredients to be written. That's how you know. So for example, if you're buying something like soy milk, for example, the first ingredients you probably will see is soybeans, because that's the ingredients with the highest quantity in that product. The next thing you will see after it, I promise you, is sugar, or one of the names of sugar, fructose, maltose, and all of those things. So the ingredients with the highest quantity always comes first, and then they go in that order. The ingredients with the lowest quantity comes last. So pay attention to this whenever you're reading your food labels. I think I'm going to do a whole video on food labels and how to read them better, so that you know what is contained in whatever it is you're buying whenever you go shopping. So go educate yourself on the different names of sugar, so that you are very much aware of what sugar you're consuming and eating. Okie dokie? All right. The third tip to help you cut down on sugar intake is to train your taste buds not to like a lot of sugar. I remember when I first started out, like I said, I really loved sugar. And then one thing I did was I started to reduce the amount of sugar I would use in whatever I would take per time. So for example, if I wanted to take a cup of tea, before now, I would probably take the tea with 1 tablespoon of sugar. The next time, when I wanted to start cutting down, I started to reduce it by 1/4 of it. So instead of 1 tablespoon, I'll take 3/4 tablespoon. The next time I will reduce it to 1/2 tablespoon. I started adjusting gradually. Now I can literally drink my tea without sugar in it and I'm okay. I can eat a big bowl of vegetables without sugar in it and I'm okay, because I have trained my taste buds not to like a lot of sugar. So that's one way that you can reduce, you can cut down your sugar intake by training your taste buds, because the truth of the matter is that once you train your taste buds not to like sugar, it adjusts immediately and automatically to everything else. And before you know it, you can eat something bland and not worry about whether it has sugar or not, and you still feel very satisfied. So it's a training, it's all discipline. So you need to literally train your taste buds by cutting down on your sugar intake per time, and before you know it, boom, you are eating everything and anything that doesn't have sugar and you still feel good and satisfied about it. Okay. Good. The next tip on my list is reduce your alcohol intake. Alcohol contains a lot of sugar, especially beer. The guys behind the scenes just alerted me to that. I'm like, you've not mentioned beer. Beer has loads and loads of sugar. Alcohol in general, red wine, white wine, champagne, your vodka, rum, spirits, name it. They contain a huge amount of sugar, especially beer. All these people that like to drink beer has sugar in it. And that's why you see people who drink beer a lot, their bellies are really big, because stored up sugar, stored up in their bellies and hurting their systems and preventing it from breathing and living, and just cut down on the alcohol, okay? That's just what I'm trying to say. Cut down on the alcohol intake. Reduce your alcohol intake to maybe once a week, twice a week. I'm not saying take it out completely, but reduce it. Okay, reduce it. I still take wine, I take champagne, but I only leave that to when I go for events. I don't take it on a normal day in my house. I leave it for when I go for events. I'm leaving room for mingling and socializing with my glass of champagne and wine when I'm out there. But inside, no alcohols for me. So cut down on your alcohol intake, okay? The fifth one is substitute sugar with fruits. When taking your cereal bowls, your oatmeal porridge, and whatnot, when you're making your smoothie and all of that. So substitute, instead of putting sugar. Now remember, sugar is also honey. Remember when I say honey, people say, oh, honey, 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 honey. Honey is a part of sugar, and if you take it in excess, it still has lots of calories and will be very harmful to your body, even though it's a natural source. But it's better than the processed ones. Okay, so reduce, substitute your sugar with fruits to sweeten things up. Now, fruits also contain natural sugars, and that's why it's always advisable not to overly eat fruits, because fruit can also make you gain weight. You can say, oh, it's fruit, but yes, it has lots of sugar in it. So, but instead of using the processed white or brown sugar, you can use fruits to sweeten up your cereal bowls in the morning. And be very mindful of the type of cereals that you buy, because cereals also have loads and loads of sugar in them. Granola has lots of sugar in it. Like, whew, child, the amount of things with sugar in it though. So I just substitute sugar with some fruits in your cereal bowls when you're having your breakfast in the morning. Okay. The sixth tip to help you cut down your sugar intake is to avoid eating desserts when you go for events. So some events will give you the first course, second course, and then comes the third course, which is desserts that has all of the cakes and the ice creams and all of that. You can say no to it when it comes to you. That's one way to cut down your sugar intake. It's hard to resist those beautiful, cute, tiny little things. But if you're determined, you can do it. I always keep the desserts, and it has done me a lot of good. Trust me, that you can do without that tiny piece of cake in front of you. That tiny piece of cake can do you so much harm than good. So instead of taking it, opt for a glass of water instead. Okie dokie. Thank you. The seventh tip to help you cut down your sugar intake is to try as much as possible to avoid eating junk food. Meat pies, donuts, ice creams, sausage rolls, all of those things are made with so many processed things. They have so much sugar in them. I bake. Do you understand? I bake. So I know the ingredients that go into making these things. And whenever I see the fast food joint selling this, I'm like, oh my God, these guys are selling. So try as much as possible to avoid them. I'm not saying take them out completely, but reduce the quantity of pastries that you would have on a regular day. I still eat meat pies, I still eat donuts, but I don't do it every single day. I restrict it to once a month, sometimes maybe once in 3 weeks, but I try as much as possible to space out the time that I would eat the pastries. And then when I'm eating it, I eat a very small portion, so I don't overdo it. It takes a lot of discipline to get these things done, but I believe that you can do it if you put your mind to it. So definitely cut down on the pastries, okay? The 8th tip I'm going to share is also still on food. Try as much as possible to cut down on carbs. Carbohydrates has lots and lots of sugar in it, and I'm not saying take out carbohydrates completely. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying take out carbohydrates, because your body needs carbohydrates to survive. I'm just saying don't overdo the carbohydrates. So don't go eat 10 loaves of bread in the morning, then you now sit down and eat 10 cups of boiled jollof rice in the afternoon. Then you now do one big mold of eba, and that's too much carbs for one day though. So reduce your carb intake to at least 1 meal. So you can decide to have something carby as one of your meals. So maybe for lunch, you can have rice, or you can have eba. Then for dinner, you can now do maybe a vegetable salad or chicken vegetable salad, or you can do pepper soup and stuff, and then in the morning you can have smoothies. But don't have bread, rice, gari in one day. How now? That's not fair on your body though. So cut down on the carbs tremendously. Reduce your carb intake to 1 meal per day. You can do it. I believe that you can. Okay? Good. The 9th one is try as much as possible to avoid processed foods. So processed foods like your ketchup, your pasta sauce, your barbecue sauce, all of those things contain an incredible amount of sugar in them. Your jam, fruit juice, the processed fruit juice, the packet ones. Try as much as possible to reduce your intake of these things. Again, I'm not saying don't take them, because once in a while they come in very handy, especially the pasta sauce or the pizza sauce. They can come in very handy, but reduce the amount, the quantity you take, and then reduce the time that you take it. Just give it give them big intervals. Okay, so cut down on the processed foods as much as possible. That would also help you drastically reduce your sugar intake. Okay. The 10th and the final tip on my list is create a meal plan. If you know that you struggle with the meals that you eat and you feel like the meals you eat have lots of carbs in them or have lots of sugar in them, you can consciously and deliberately do something about it by creating a meal plan and filling your meal plan up with meals that do not have a lot of carbs or do not have a lot of sugar, or meals that will help you cut down on the amount of carbs that you take. So like I mentioned earlier, for breakfast, if you're going to be having bread for breakfast, don't put rice for lunch and eba for dinner. Shuffle it. So if you're having bread for breakfast, you can switch things up and maybe have beans. Even though beans has carbs, but it doesn't have as much carbs as rice. You can put beans for lunch, and then you can put pepper soup or a chicken salad for dinner. That way you are switching things up on the amount of to cut down on the amount of carbs that you take, and then you have a guide. A meal plan is a guide that helps you say, okay, on Tuesday I'm going to have this, on Wednesday I'm going to have this, and then you try as much as possible to stick to your meal plan. Okay, now I'm going to give a bonus tip, and this is not something that usually occurs all the time, but just in case peradventure you are addicted to sugar, like this is become an addiction, like it's become a problem, then I would advise that you seek the help of a therapist. But if it's not so bad that you know you can at least still cut down on it, you can join a support group. I know there's a support group, or you can have yourself become accountable to a friend or a family member who would help you cut down on your sugar intake, because sometimes it's difficult to do it on your own, but when you have people there to support and guide you, it becomes a whole lot easier. So if it's so terrible, see a therapist, but if it's something you think you can work on with someone else, then have a support group to help you on the journey. Okay, all right guys, I hope these tips will help you on your journey to reducing your sugar intake. I tell you that when you reduce your sugar intake, it will do your body a lot of good. Your body will thank you for it. Your body will become fresher, finer, your energy levels will be up, and then your system will function at maximum capacity. All right guys, I'll see you next time with another video. Until then, remember to be very kind to one another, love yourselves generously, and it's me, the queen of fun and fast cooking, signing out right now. Take care guys.